So our today's topic is time complexity of an algorithm. So let's see. I think I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the last class we have seen the examples, something like examples like the space complexity and time complexity of some of the very small algorithms or programs. The space complexity of an algorithm can be defined as the amount of memory space needed by the algorithm in its life cycle. The last class we have discussed about the life cycle of an algorithm or the system life cycle. The space needed by an algorithm can be divided into two parts. One is a fixed part and the other one is a variable part. I think you know the details. The fixed part corresponds to the data and constant type of variables, and the variable part is the space required by the variables whose size is dependent on the size of the problem. So if there is a variable whose size is dynamically allocated, then that sort of variable will be taking space dependent on the size of the problem. So the total space complexity of the algorithm can be defined as S equal to A plus I, where A is the fixed part and I is the variable part. In this lecture, we'll be talking more about the time complexity of the algorithm. The time complexity of the algorithm. So the time complexity of the algorithm is the representation of the amount of time required by the algorithm to execute to completion. So the total time taken, that is what the time complexity of the algorithm is. The time requirement is denoted as a function f of n, not as the number of seconds or milliseconds. That sort of a count. We will be denoting the time complexity of a function of an algorithm as a numerical function f of n, where n is related to the number of or the size of the problem or the total input size. So for example, let's take the example of addition of two n-bit integers. So let's assume that we are going to add one bit at a time. So n steps will be taken. In the first step, first two bits will be added. In the second step, second two bits will be added, and so on. So the total computational time can be defined as f of n equal to c into n, where c is the time consumed for addition, and usually we define c as, or we take c as a unit time, whether it is addition, multiplication, or whatever operation it may be. We take that value c as a constant, or some unit time. Then we may write it as f of n equal to n, or we observe that f of n or the function f of n is growing linearly as the input size increases. So f of n equal to n, or f of n equal to 10n, f of n equal to 10n plus 2, etc., whatever it may be. Meaning is that the function f of n, the value of f of n is going to increase linearly as the input size n increases. So we denote it by using order of n. Order of n means linear to the input size. So that's the definition and explanation about space complexity and time complexity. In the next step, we will see the time complexity of some of the most probable statements or algorithms. Here, I'm not writing the the entire algorithm code. I'll be writing a very small code snippets for analyzing the time complexity. The time complexity of this statement we have already seen for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. In this, you may employ the frequency count method. In the last class, we have discussed about frequency count method. From this, you know that I equal to 0, this statement will be executed once, and this statement I less than n will be executed n plus 1 times. and this statement will be executed n plus 1 times, and the set of statements what is inside the for loop will be executed n times. So the statements will be executed n number of times. This set of statements will be executed n number of times, so we can write the function is equal to n, or it will be like function f of n equal to this set of statements will be n, and this will be n plus 1, this will be n plus 1, and this will be 1. So you add all these things together, so n plus n plus n 3n plus 3, so it will be 3n plus 3. Still the time complexity of the function is linear because it represents a polynomial something like this, 3n plus 3. So here we take the degree of the polynomial. The degree of this polynomial is 1. So means that the time complexity is linear. If the degree of the polynomial is 2n square, 2, 3n square plus 3, something like that, then we say that the polynomial, the time complexity is order of n square, or the time complexity is quadratic. So that is the meaning of, and usually if there is a statement, if there is a for or iterative statement like this, what is inside that iterative statement, only that need to be considered, because these statements can be avoided. How many times this set of statements will be executed, that will be counted. So even without going in depth into what is the polynomial corresponding to the frequency count, we can directly say the total set of statements, sorry, total number of times the statements will be executed is n. For I equal to 0, this statement will be executed once. For I equal to 1, this statement will be executed once. And till for I equal to n minus 1, the statement will be executed. Whenever I is equal to n, this will go out of the loop and it will not execute it. So it will be executing from 0 to n minus 1, meaning is that the statements will be executed n number of times, and that itself is the time complexity of this particular code. Now let's see another for statement. For I equal to n, I greater than 1, I minus minus, then a set of statements inside the for loop. Here also I is starting from a value n, and this is decrementing I minus minus. In this case also the statements will be executed n number of times. When I equal to n, this statement will be executed. When I equal to n minus 1, this statement will be executed. When I equal to 1, the statement will not be executed. So it will be the value n will be decrementing till 1. So in the previous case, we were going from a value I value from 0 to, for example, if n was 10, 0 to 10, and here we are coming from 10 to 1. Whether we are going from 1 to 10 or 10 to 1, both are taking the number of steps will be same, equal to 10 number of steps. So if n is equal to 10, this means that f of n equal to n. So 10 unit of time will be taken corresponding to this set of statements. So it is linear with n. That is what the time complexity is denoted as, order of n. Now let's see another code, another small code block. Once again, having an iterative statement with for loop. Sorry. For I equal to 0, I less than n, I equal to I plus 2. Now we can see that this incrementation step is different, not just I plus plus. You will not be considering all the possible I values. I will be 0, then I will be 2, I will be I will be 4, and so on. So from this it is very clear that this set of statements will not be executed n number of times. It will be executed how many times? It will be executed n by 2 number of times. So f of n equal to n by 2. Total time complexity is once again order of n. So this is corresponding to a polynomial, and the degree of the polynomial is 1, means that the time complexity is order of n. That's it. What about if it is if the value of I is incrementing I equal to I plus 20? Still it will be something like the statement will be executed n by 20 number of times, and the polynomial corresponding to this can be written as f of n equal to n by 20, and we denote the time complexity as order of n. So whether it is n, whether it is n by 2, n by 20, n by 100, whichever it may be, we will denote it as the time complexity as order of n. That's it. Means that the time taken by the algorithm is linear to the input size. That's it. That is the meaning of time complexity is order of n. Now let's see a nested for statement, two nested for statements for I equal to 0, I less than n. Inside that for j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus, and a set of statements. Here the number of times the statements will be executed is different compared to that. For I equal to 0 and j equal to 0, statement will be executed once, and 0 1 again executed, 0 2 again executed, then 1 0 1 1 1 2 etc. So from that it is very clear that the statement will be executed n into n number of times. This will contribute the first n part, and this for loop will contribute the second n part. So if you consider all the possible statements, all the possible times by all the statements, then you may get a polynomial something like this: 2n square plus 2n plus 1. Means that the degree of the polynomial is 2. So time complexity of the algorithm is order of n square. The 2n square plus 2n plus 1. So in the same way, if it is 10n square plus 10n plus something, then also the time complexity. So we don't consider the other values what is related 10n square plus 10,000 n plus n plus 100. Then also the time complexity is order of n square. So we take or we construct this polynomial, and based on that polynomial, we say that the degree of the polynomial is taken, and that is used as the time complexity. The time complexity of these two nested for loops is order of n square. What about this? It looks very similar to the previous nested statements. The condition for the second for statement is different. For I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Inside that for j equal to 0, j less than I, j plus plus. So I equal to 0 and j equal to 0, then this condition is false. So the statements will not be executed. I equal to 0 and I equal to 1 and j equal to 0, the statement will be executed once. Let's trace this algorithm and see the output. See, for I equal to 0 and j equal to 0, the number of times this will be executed is 0 number of times. For j equal to 0, the statement will not be executed. Yes. Then for I equal to 1, then j can have values 0 and 1. J can take values 0 and 1. For value 0, the statement will be executed. For 1, the statements will not be executed. So for 1, this value will, for j equal to 1, the statement will not be executed. So the number of times the statements will be executed is 1. For I equal to 2, for I equal to 2, j can take values 0, 1 and 2, and for value 2 this will not be executed, statements will not be executed, so number of times it will be executed is 2. For I equal to 3, j can take these values, and for j equal to 3 it will not be executed, so number of times executed is for j equal to 0, j equal to 1 and j equal to 2. So number of times is 3. For I equal to n, it can take values from 0 to n, and for j equal to n, then statements will not be executed. That means that for 0, 1, 2, etc., n minus 1 of value j, this set of statements will be executed, whatever the statements will be, and we assume that this set of statements is taking unit time. So the number of times executed will be n. Then what is the total number of times these statements will be executed? You add all these things together, it will be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus etc. n. So it will be n into n plus 1, it is n square plus 1 by 2, means that it is a polynomial with degree 2. So the total time complexity is order of n square. The previous case where we had j equal to 0, j less than n, in that case also we had time complexity is order of n square. This time also we have a time complexity equal to order of n square, but we got different polynomials. after calculating the number of times this set of statements was executed. But still, we say that the time complexity of both the algorithms is order of n square. Now let's take another piece of code where we use another variable p equal to 0 and I equal to 1, p less than or equal to n I plus plus, and p equal to p plus I. So initially the value of p is 0, then p will be added to I. So it will be I plus p, 1 plus 0. So p will be 1. Then I will be incremented. So I equal to 2. Next time 1 plus 2. Next time I will be incremented, then 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on. Then this is the condition p less than or equal to n. Then we will see how many times this set of statements or this particular code block will be executed. We will see that. Once again, if you trace this algorithm, you can see that I can take values from I equal to 1. Then the statement will be, then p can take value like 0 plus 1 equal to 1. When I value equal to 2, 1 plus 2 equal to 3. When I value equal to 3, 1 plus 2 plus 3, then and so on. And when the value of I is equal to k, it will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus etc. k. I have taken, instead of I value equal to n, I have taken the value of I equal to k. Why? Because we know that it will not be, I will not be going to reach till n. Why? Because the condition is different, p less than or equal to n. So let's see the relationship between p and sorry, k and n. I'm saying that the I value will be iterated from 1 to k, or k number of times this particular loop will be executed. That's it, till this condition. So p equal to this value k into k plus 1 by 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus etc. plus k, means that it is equal to k into k plus 1 by 2. So to meet this condition should be true. K square should be greater than n. Means that k should be greater than root n. Let's take this is equal to root n. Then the time complexity is order of n. Means that for I equal to 1, this statement will be executed once. For I equal to 2, this statement will be executed once. For I equal to 3, executed once. And till value of k, I equal to k, this loop statement will be executed. Then the value of k is itself is the time complexity, and we got value of k equal to square root of n. So that is the corresponding time complexity. So time complexity of this piece of code is equal to order of square root of n. Let's take another small code block. For I equal to 1, I less than n, I equal to I into 2. So you see this, instead of incrementation, this is getting multiplied. I is getting multiplied by 2 every time. Let's trace this algorithm again, and you see that I can take value 1. The next time I will be taking value 1 into 2. Next time I will be taking value 2 into 2, 2 square. Next time I will be taking value 2 into 3. Sorry, 2 into 2 square into 2 equal to 2 raised to 3. And the I value can go till 2 raised to k. Some value k. We need to find out that value k. Till that step only I can go. And what is the relationship between 2 raised to k and n? 2 raised to k should be less than n. Yeah, I should be greater than or equal to n. That's where the loop terminates. So I equal to 2 raised to k. You just forget about this less than and greater than, and you say that you just make an assumption that I equal to 2 raised to k. Means that 2 raised to k equal to n. When you terminate this loop, means that 2 raised to k equal to n, k equal to log n. So the time complexity of this algorithm is order of log to the base 2n. This is 2 raised to k, that's why log base 2n. So the time complexity of this algorithm, when you multiply it with, when you increment the value of I every time with 2, then you can say that the algorithm is going to take order of log n time. Now let's look at this log n complexity into some more deeper into the log n complexity. Let's say this value of n equal to 8. Then we will see how many times this loop will be executed. In the previous case, we have seen that it takes log n time. So when I equal to 1, this will be executed. When I equal to 2, the statement will be executed. When I equal to 4, 2 square, then also this statement will be executed. When I equal to 3, sorry, I equal to 8, 2 raised to 2 into 2, then this condition fails and it will terminate the loop. So when n equal to 8, this loop is going to execute exactly log n times, 3 number of times. Let's take a value n equal to 10. So I equal to 1, it will be executed. I equal to 2, I equal to 2, it will be executed. I equal to 2 square, executed. I equal to 2 raised to 3. In that case also this will be executed. So the statements will be executed 4 number of times. But log 8 is 3 and log 10 is almost equal to 3.2 or 3.21, some value, something like that. It's not an exact 2 to the power. So it will be somewhere related to this. So when it is just above 3, then also then the next step also will be executed. That means that the time complexity of this piece of code can be refined as order of ceil of log n, not plain log n or not floor of log n, it is order of ceil of log n. So it will be whenever it just jumps above this value, just above this 2 raised to 3 value. So 2 raised to 3 is 8. When n equal to 9 also, it will be executing 4 number of times. So just when it jumps above 3 means that it will be executed in the next number of times. So 3.01 also will be executing 4 number of times. So what I'm trying to say is the time complexity of this piece of code is order of ceil of log n. So previous case we have seen every time the loop index was getting multiplied by 2. Now let's take a sample where this index was getting divided by 2. I equal to I divided by 2. Then also you can let's try to trace this algorithm. When I equal to n, this will be executed. N by 2 it will be executed. N by 2 square also this statement will be executed. Till n by 2 raised to k, this statement will be executed. Now let's equate something like this. N by 2 raised to k equal to 1. So means that n equal to 2 raised to k. Once again, the time complexity of this algorithm is order of log n. So now you can take it as a something like a formula where if your index variable in a for loop or a while loop or any iterative statement, if it is getting multiplied by 2 or dividing by 2, the complexity of the number of statements what is inside your that iterative statement will be log to the base 2. What about if it is getting divided by 3 or multiplied by 3, then log to the base 3n, log to the base 3n, that will be your complexity. I was trying to include almost all the possible iterative statements, and so let's take another example. I equal to 0, I into I less than n, I plus plus. Here the condition is different, I square less than n. So I into I should be greater than n, I square equal to n, so I equal to root n. It's very direct. The time complexity of the algorithm is order of square root of n. Let's take this example. These are not nested for loops. This is one for loop after another for loop. So for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, then j equal to 0, j less than j plus plus, two for loops one by one. So it's very clear that the first for loop is going to you take n number of times, and the second for loop is going to take going to execute n number of times. So f of n can be written as 2n. From this, you know the complexity of the algorithm is related to the degree of the polynomial what is represented by the function. So f of n equal to 2n means the time complexity is order of n itself. Even if we were having two for loops, we both are running n number of times. Let's take this example. See, the first for loop is taking I equal to I into 2, means that the statement what is inside this for loop, we have already seen this. The statement inside this for loop will be executed log n number of times, isn't it? So it's very clear that this is log n times. So the value of p is log n times. Now you are taking that to the second for loop, so j less than log n. Here the number of times this will be executed is, if this is equal to p number of times. So the total complexity from the previous case, it is equal to this was taking log n times, this was taking p number of times. So the total time taken will be, let's say you take this as p, then p equal to log n, then statement will be executed log p times. I think there is a mistake in this code. So let's say j equal to j multiplied by 2. So this statement also will be taking log p number of times, isn't it? So statements, in this case, the statements will be executed log p number of times. Log p means p is already log n, so it is log order of log n. That is the time complexity. I think you are convinced with the statement. There is a small mistake in my slide. Any questions? This is another nested for loop in which we have I less than n, I equal to I into 2, j less than n, j equal to j into 2. Let you take this as also 1, j equal to j into 2. Then this will be taking you how many times? And there is a small mistake here as well. Let's say this is equal to I plus plus, sorry, I plus plus. So the first for loop is going to take n number of times, execute n number of times, and the second for loop is going to take log n number of times. So the total time complexity will be order of n into log n. So this part will be contributing n, and this part will be contributing log n. So both will be together, it will be contributing order of n into log n. So I have covered almost all the possible combinations of iterative statements to discuss its time complexities. Just a small example related to a while loop as well. While I less than n, then statement. The statements will be executed how many times? I equal to 0, the statement will be executed. I equal to 1, the statement will be executed, and it's again out of n time. There is no much magic happening in the case of any other loop, while loop, do while loop, or repeat until loop. In all the cases, it's very similar to the for loop statements which we have already seen. So f of n equal to 3n plus 2. Once again, the degree of the polynomial is 1, so the time complexity is linear. So as a summary, for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, order of n time. I equal to 0, I less than n, I equal to I plus 2, it's also order of n. You decrement, then also it is order of n. You multiply by 2, it's log 2n. You multiply by 3, it's log to the base 3n. You divide by 2, it's also again log to the base 2n. So you can take these as a formula and you combine all the possible combinations, then you can get different complexities. Let's see some of the time functions which we have already seen. Order of one is constant time. It is not depending upon order of one means it's not at all depending upon the input size of the problem. Whatever input size you give, the algorithm is going to give you a constant time. You can take examples like examples from our stack data structure. Whatever may be the size of the stack for a push operation and pop operation, it will take only constant time. Another type of time function is log n, logarithmic. We have seen examples. Another is linear, order of n. If you traverse through an array for doing something, the sum of all the values in an array. If to find out the average value in an array, these sort of problems, it will take linear time. Order of n square, quadratic, to take the sum of two matrices, then that will take quadratic time. Cubic, order of n cube. We have we have seen an example for cubic time function, multiplication of two matrices. Order of 2 raised to n is exponential complexity. Order of 3 raised to n raised to n may be having the maximum complexity. So these are the different types of time functions, and most of the time for any algorithm, you will be getting a combination of these complexities. That's it. So order of you have two nested iterative statement. The first iterative statement was taking n square complexity, and inside the iterative statement is taking log n complexity. Then the total complexity will be order of n square log n. And this simple order or big O notation we will be discussing about in the next class. So in order to compare the classes of time functions, you can see, you can remember this particular statement. This is the order of one complexity, 1 less than log n, then square root of n, then less than n log n, less than n square, less than n cube, etc., less than, then all the exponential complexities, and this is going to take the largest time, or this is in the increasing order of their weightage. If you arrange the time functions in the increasing order of their weightage, it will look like this. Let's see a sample trace of this as well. Let's take only some of the complexities. Let's take log n, then linear, then one entry from the, let's take the quadratic complexity, and one entry from the what you known as exponential complexity. So log n, when n equal to 1, log n is 0, n square is also 1, 2 raised to n is 2 raised to 1 equal to 2. When n equal to 2, the input size is 2, then log 2 is log to the base. We assume that base is 2, so log 2 to the base 2 is 1. N square is 4, and 2 raised to n is also 4. When when n is equal to 4, then log n is 2, 16. And from there onwards, you can see that there is a sudden jump in the case of 2 raised to n and n square. Not n square, in 2 raised to n. So that's how we can connect. For example, you can see that when n equal to 2 and when n equal to 4, these two values are same. And here it is greater and here it is greater. But after a particular value of n, you can surely say that n square is greater than, 2 raised to n is always greater than n. For example, here in between you can write something like 2 raised to 100 also. Sorry, n raised to 100 when n equal to class ഉണ്ട്. When n equal to some value sorry, so after a particular value of n you can always say that n square is greater than 2 raised to n. For example, you take n is equal to 100, then 100 square will be that value and that will be always less than, sorry, n raised to 100, that's what I was talking about, n raised to 100. So n raised to 100, you take this complexity also, instead of n square you take n raised to 100 also, then also you can find a particular point where it is less than 2 raised to this 2 raised to n. So that's how this graph goes. So initially the values of 2 raised to n will be small. So if you consider the graph, then the 2 raised to n graph will be growing something very like this, while 2 raised n square will be n raised to 2, n raised to 3, etc. graph will be going like this. So this will be n square, this will be n cube, this will be n raised to 4, and so on. But there will be a sudden jump in the case of 2 raised to n or this value. So you yourself get convinced that all n to the powers are less than 2 to the power of that value. So that's all about today's lecture about time complexity. I hope you understood the things clearly.